If you're one of the millions of people who have hit a tough time financially in these difficult economic times, you are not alone. When these challenging financial times hit good people, one of the best ways to move forward can be to file bankruptcy.
But there are really all kinds of fear about what happens after that. Is your credit ruined? Is it ruined for good? So joining us today are the ladies of the law to kind of dispel some of those myths. So let's dive right into it, because for a lot of people, this is an option that really is going to help them.
Right. Well, it really does, and the concept of bankruptcy is a fresh start. That's the idea. That's the reason bankruptcy code exists. When people come to my office, 90% of the time they say to me, you know, I'm a good person. All my life I've paid all my bills. I used to have a credit score in the 800s. You know, I'm not an irresponsible person. I just fell on hard times, and I just can't do it anymore. And so they're always kind of explaining themselves to me so that I don't say, oh, you know, you're irresponsible, you never paid your bills. But that's the whole idea of bankruptcy, is that it lets you start from ground zero and rebuild from that point.
And I think the thing that most people probably think automatically, they try to steer away from bankruptcy, is that that's going to ruin my credit, like, for good. Right. It's going to be there forever, and I'll never be able to buy another car and finance it or anything like that. Is that true?
Well, for the reality is when they come into our office and they say, you know, will bankruptcy ruin my credit? And then they pull out all the judgments and the foreclosure that they just had recently. You know, we tell them, you know, this has already ruined your credit. So this is bankruptcy is the first step to rebuilding the credit. And we have some people, some clients who've recently been in our office who, you know, we've done projections, we pull their credit and we see what their credit score is now and what their credit score is going to be in a year after they file bankruptcy. And we see increases of up to 150 points recently. That's not the norm for every case, but you know, for some of our cases recently, that has been what their projected increase is going to be.
And what can you do to help increase your credit rating and
well,
credit score?
The minute you come out of bankruptcy, you're not going to be able to see that bump. Actually, you might, because you're going to get rid of a bunch of debt that you had listed that was either late or unpaid, or things that have been hanging around for a long time. So the bankruptcy will let you start, you know, wipe the slate clean and start from the beginning, basically. You actually become a better credit risk after a bankruptcy because, number one, your debt to income ratio is now completely different. You know, you have generally you have no debt left other than things that can't be discharged. You don't owe anybody any money. Also, you can't file another bankruptcy, at least a Chapter 7, again for 8 more years. So you're actually
a lower risk, I guess.
You're a better risk than you were before you went into bankruptcy. So you will actually find that you do start getting credit offers in the mail. Now, those aren't going to be your best deals. You're going to have high interest rates and fees and things like that. But you know, that's the rebuilding process, is to start small. Get a secured credit card. Pay it off every month. Go to maybe a credit union and establish a bank account and pay it appropriately. Get a secured line of credit where you give them $1,000, they give you a $1,000 loan, and you repay that on time. That's how you get rebuilt, basically. And you could even qualify for another mortgage 2 years after a bankruptcy discharge. Under the federal mortgage programs, you're eligible for another mortgage, assuming you have appropriately rebuilt your credit.
Right. One thing I like about what you guys do is it's very individualized. It's not like you just, people come in. You have a service, a free service where people can come in and you go through it all with them. You don't just automatically, they come in and you go, oh, let's do bankruptcy. You look through everything that's going on, but explain how you guys do that.
Well, we have a free consultation for our bankruptcy clients who come in. They bring us their bills, again, it's sometimes in a big garbage bag. We'll pull their credit for them. We'll go through it together. We'll look on the public records and see what kind of judgments and things like that are out there, and then we'll make a recommendation appropriately. And bankruptcy isn't always the right solution for everybody, and in that case, we have other options that we'll offer people. But in the case of people who can benefit from bankruptcy, then we're going to walk them through that process and facilitate that for them.
And for a lot of people too, it's really important to learn then how to, you know, spend your money and to learn to be responsible and to know if you have limited amount of funds. Well, don't rack up credit cards.
Exactly.
You know, going out
and spend the money you don't have.
Right. You need to be responsible.
A lot of times it takes people who have to figure out how to learn to live by a budget and stick to that budget. You know, you don't want to pay your bills late. Paying your bills on time every single month will help you increase your credit score quicker after a bankruptcy. If you don't pay your bills on time, the flip side of that is it could count more against you because you've had a bankruptcy. So you want to pay your bills on time. And that's one of the most important things.
Is honoring your obligation.
Right. And in terms of the rebuilding process, there's a requirement in bankruptcy. When you finish your bankruptcy, you have to take what's called a debtor education class.
Oh.
And the whole concept, it's
good.
something you do online. It's not, you know, it's not real burdensome, but it sort of helps educate people as to, okay, here's how you want to budget your money. Here's how much of your income should go to this kind of expense or that kind of expense. And we use the Dave Ramsey program, which, you know, it tries to teach people sometimes how to live without credit or how to pay for things all up front and things like that. So there is an education component involved in the bankruptcy process that does sometimes help people start out on the right foot.
Right.
Now, if somebody, I'm sure you guys have been doing this for a while, if somebody has filed bankruptcy and then they find themselves slipping down the wrong path, are you guys still available to work with them and say, hey, okay, look, let's get you back on the right path? Or are there certain things, aside from what you just talked about, where they can get that information?
In terms of how to...
Making sure they get back on track,
Absolutely.
keeping themselves on a schedule. And
There are a lot of resources out there. You know, we'll refer people to some of the free community resources that help people establish a budget or, you know, recover from an event, you know, a month of unemployment or something like that. There are resources out there, and we have a whole list of those in our office for the people that need them.
Well, thank you guys. We appreciate you
Thank
being here.
you.
The ladies of the
Yes.
law, Allison and Andrea, for your advice, and thanks to Emery, Kast, and Walker for sponsoring this segment.
remember, the biggest mistake that you can make when facing, in English, biggest mistake you can make when facing financial hardship is to do nothing, bury your head in the sand. The legal team of Emery, Kast, and Walker understands what you're going through, and they are here to help good people in bad times. Visit their website at www.jackslawyer.com or call them at 904-404-3394 for a free consultation to find solutions for your problems, and I will work on my English.
Well, listen, I just want to point out that one of those margarita glasses are empty. That's all I wanted to say.
You didn't have to say success.
That's right. That's right.
Oh,
We could have
goodness.
another blooper. Exactly. All right.
Everybody's having success.
That's right.